Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Janome HD-1000. In this video, I'm going to get you started in sewing on this machine. So to start with, you've got all these stitches that you can do on your machine. Now, some of them look really similar, and that's because you have this stitch length knob. So for instance, if I've got stitch B, I can turn this past 4 into the stretch stitch area, and I've got a triple stitch right here. Same thing with my zigzag. If I chose zigzag, I can now do a triple stitch. Now notice the zigzag has sort of a range, so that way you can make a wider zigzag or a narrower zigzag. If you leave it right here on this, it's going to sew straight. So you need to have it a little bit in there to make a wider or narrow. And of course you can lengthen or shorten your zigzag right down here. Okay, so that's the various stitches that you can do. And then also you have a buttonhole stitch that I could show in a different time. But the buttonhole is a 4-step buttonhole. You do one side of the buttonhole and bar tack, other side of the buttonhole, and the other bar tack. Okay, to get started sewing in straight stitching, you want to have your stitch length at approximately 2.5, or be halfway between 2 and 3. That's a normal garment stitch length. That's not too long and it's not too short. And stitch B is what you have for your straight stitch. Now, we also have lines on our needle plate here, which will help us get a nice even distance between the edge of the fabric and your stitching line. Now I have my edge of my fabric lined up with the 5/8 inch line right here. And when you start sewing, make sure you're sewing on your fabric and not off the edge like that, because the thread needs to have fabric to sew through in order to keep from tangling. Okay, got to get the foot control in. And now this is the reverse lever here. We're going to make sure to use a reverse at the beginning and the ending of each seam. That'll keep it from coming unraveled. So I'm going to take a few stitches forward, take a few stitches back. Now you might have noticed I do hold on to the threads for the first couple of stitches. That helps prevent thread tangles. So now we're going to start sewing, and I'm going to watch right over here so that the edge of that fabric stays even with that line. A little bit of steering issues. Okay. Now I stopped before we got to the edge of the fabric. The machine doesn't necessarily stop with the needle down. It can, or you can turn your hand wheel so the needle's down. Nice advantage of this, when you have the needle down into the fabric, you can lift up your presser foot, take a look at your stitches, or turn a corner, and you haven't lost your place of where you are. But at this point, I'm going to just put a reverse stitch in that, stitch forward. Then when you're done stitching, make sure you have your take-up lever up at the top like this. That means it has completed the stitch cycle and you're ready to take your fabric out of here. You got a thread cutter right over here, and there's your seam. Nice and sealed at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so what about zigzag? We go over to zigzag and we can move this into the zigzag area like that. I like to have my zigzag a little bit shorter. You can use a zigzag to finish the edges of woven fabrics. Here I've got some denim. And when you do that, have the right-hand swing of the needle go past the edge of the fabric, and the left-hand swing of the needle go into the fabric. So watch like that. You can also do a back stitch at the beginning and at the end like that too. And that helps seal the edge of that fabric so it's not going to continue to fray. So that's your zigzag and your straight stitch. It's really easy to change from one to the other. And I think that is all you need to know to get started on this machine. There's a lot you can do. Try out these wonderful stitches on a piece of fabric and have fun with this machine. If this video has been helpful to you, give us a thumbs up. And if you have comments or questions, you can leave those in the area down below. We have lots of other videos on this machine and on other machines here on our Montavilla YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.